Hi everybody, it's Ellen and I'm back to talk about how we do our reading for the year. And this is also part of the Virtual Homeschool group, or the Virtual Homeschool Co-op 2016-2017 assignment number 3, which is all about book lists. So I'm going to show you guys our book list for the year, what we plan on getting done, and how we're going to do it. So this is our read aloud book list for this coming school year. And it's not in any particular order. I've just listed them down as I kind of came across the titles. And then what I've done with the highlighting is I just highlight the circle when we start the book, and then I highlight all the way across once we've finished a book. So just for this school year, the ones from this book list that we read is just The Little Prince. And then currently right now we're reading The Mouse and the Motorcycle and Pippi Longstocking. So some of the books on the list I have, and then some of them we'll just get from the library, or if anyone asks, any family members ask if they want to purchase anything for homeschool wise, then I'll request some of these books that are on here. I wanted to point a couple out. For the Shakespeare, what we got from Groupon are these 20 Shakespeare children's stories. So this is what we'll be using to go through the Shakespeare, and I really liked the layout of these, and I thought the illustrations were pretty nice, and the inside it's just black and white, but has a lot of pictures and stories, so my 5-year-old might even be able to read these on his own, but we'll read them together because I actually want to read through all the stories as well. And then for some of the other stories, I did get some at Target, and I think a couple of these came from Michael's, and they are also lightly illustrated throughout, so it'll keep them a little bit more engaged since they are younger. So I have these. I think these are the ones that I got from Michael's. And then the ones that I got from Target, this was, I think, a couple years ago, though. And these also have some illustrations in them. So it'll just keep the story a bit more interested for them. And these are a little bit abridged and adapted for young children. So that's the reading list that we have for our read aloud books. This reading list that I have for my oldest, who is 5 right now, but he will be turning 6 during the school year. And the reading list is short right now. I'm still trying to gauge his reading, and when he's reading, he's only reading to me, well, the chapter books, he's only reading to me right now, just to make sure that he's pronouncing the words properly and understanding what they mean. So he's starting off with Flat Stanley, and then we'll go through here, and then we will add more as the year goes on, but just wanted to start small for him. And then for my 4-year-old, who will be turning 5 in the spring, his list is super short because he's just learning how to read. So for his list, it's just the Bob books. So we'll work through pretty much all the series at the bottom. So, well, not these two, but we're just here, and then we'll go all the way over. And then also his curriculum came with itty bitty phonics reader, so that's what this one is. And it's pretty similar to Bob books, but I'm just using these because it came with his curriculum. So why not? For inspiration for my book list, I did look a little bit on Pinterest, but these 3 sources were probably my biggest sources. So Jim Trelease, the Read Aloud Handbook, which is a big book on, has a bunch of recommendations, not just for chapter books, but also for picture books. So I looked through there for some picture books as well. The Read Aloud Revival has many different book lists on here. Like it has some middle grade novels, first chapter book read aloud. They have family read alouds and classic literature. So I took some books from there and added it to our list. And then also Marva Collins, which was one of my inspirations for teaching. And I loved watching her her movie on, it's actually available on YouTube, the Marva Collins story. And let's see, here we go. So she has reading lists for children ages 4, 5, and 6. So I did take some from there as well. And if we do end up going through our whole list, then I will come back through these resources and add more to our list. So the way that I keep track of our read aloud books is with this little read aloud log that I created. I think eventually I'll type it up and make it into a nice computer document, but for now this works. So I just put how many pages. I didn't do the first two, but I did from then on, and I do whatever date we finished the book, the title, and then the author, and this will just kind of let us know what all we've read aloud together. Usually it's my oldest too, so my 5-year-old and my 4-year-old that listen. My 2-year-old sometimes listens, but she's 2, so she's kind of, in and out of the stories. And then this will just be a log that I can look back and see what books that we've read over the school year. As far as incentives or rewards for reading, I don't personally do any, but my son, my oldest, who can read on his own, he participates in our library's book camp. So he can read, well, this is just the flyer from the book, but he reads the books and then he fills out the title, author, and then we write a sentence together, and, well, he copies it down and turns it in, and for every 4 books that he reads and turns in, then he gets a little patch. And I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with all the patches, but he's excited to get the patches, so that's fun for him. And we also are participating in the Book It reading award program for this year, which is fun for us because we have pizza and movie on Saturday, so every now and then when I don't want to cook a pizza, then we can just get one from Pizza Hut. So for the 2016-2017 school year, I also have created a reading list for myself. And these are all books that have to do with education in some way or another. And I just feel like in order to provide the best education for my children, then I also need to make sure that I stay up on the latest research and the latest books on how to educate them the best way. The Smartest Kids in the World. I have read this one before, but I just wanted to review it sometime this year just to see what kind of tips that I can take out and apply to our homeschool. We have Creating Innovators, The Making of Young People Who Will Change the World, which I of course want to do. Teach Like a Champion, and I read through this when I taught elementary school, but I want to read through it again. The Unschooled Mind, Howard Gardner, probably a pretty famous one. Finish Lessons, because they are at the top of education, and for a while they were at the very bottom, so I just kind of want to see what changes they made and how I can apply it to our classroom. I attended a workshop by him, and he gave a very dynamic workshop, and I really loved it, so I of course had to buy the book, and I will be reading it. This one I got on sale at a bookstore that was closing down, History on Trial, and it seemed really interesting, just how we teach history and why. Math, because this is a very important subject to me, and I want to make sure that my children have a strong foundation in math. Another book about history, well, mostly history, Lies My Teacher Told Me, and I did read the first edition, but this one is the completely revised and updated one, so I want to read this one as well. Creative Schools by Ken Robinson. I think his TED Talks is one of the most viewed TED Talks on YouTube. He gives some really good ideas on how education is killing creativity, so that should be good. How Children Learn, John Holt, pretty famous one. And last but not least, The Educated Child by William J. Bennett, A Parent's Guide. So I might not read like every single page in this one because it does go preschool through 8th grade, but at least the first few grades. So that was an overview of the books that we plan to read throughout the year and then how I keep track of it. And as far as how reading gets done, I would say most of the reading we do in the evening time when we're getting ready for bed. We also do some during nap time when my 2-year-old is napping, and then sometimes in the morning, like today is a rainy day, it's cold, so, you know, perfect time to sit on the couch and snuggle up with a book. When my oldest reads on his own, then it's, you know, just sporadically throughout the day. There's no set specific time as to when he reads, but I do always want him to read the chapter books to me just so I can ensure that he's pronouncing all the words properly and he understands what he's reading. And then I don't quiz right now. I will eventually quiz as he reads more books than I can keep up with, because I'm thinking that that's the route he's going to go. So we'll use like Accelerated Reader or some online program maybe to quiz on some of the books that I don't get a chance to read with him. But right now I just orally quiz them, you know, after every few pages, you know, what happened to the mouse again? And what color was his shirt? So I try to get specific questions in there just to see how well they're paying attention, and then also general questions just to see if they understood the concept of whatever just happened. So thanks for watching. Those are all the questions that I can remember from the Virtual Homeschool Co-op. If you have any questions, put them in the comment box. Thank you for watching, and subscribe if you want to see more.